Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of exponential regression. This is standard A.9E in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 44 of the 2022 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have a table here showing the net revenue in millions of dollars of a company every 3 months for up to 2 years, and we need a function that models this data. So when we're looking at the functions here, we are looking at exponential growth. So we are looking at this form right here, y equals a times b to the x. So this a is going to be your initial amount or your starting amount. If we were to graph it, we would see it actually as our y-intercept. It's where the function would actually cross the y-axis when x equals 0. Now we know that because look what happens if we substitute in 0 up here. All right, so I'm going to replace my x with my 0. Now it's a times b to the 0. Well, anything to the 0 power is simply 1. Anything times 1 is itself. So when x equals 0, y equals a. But unfortunately, x doesn't equal 0. So the list of x terms only starts at 3. If we were to go back 3, whatever would be over here, right, that would be your a term, but they don't have it. Now, we can kind of guess based on what we see here, right? We see that the numbers are increasing every single time. They're not increasing by a whole bunch, so if we were to kind of move that back, that 223 looks like it would probably fit the best, right? It's not going to start out really huge like this. These G and J are also smaller than 274, but really, really small. So the F is kind of looking good. This is going to be your rate, right? So it's going to be a growth rate if it's greater than 1, and we are increasing every single time, so this is going to be greater than 1. It's going to be a decay rate if it's actually shrinking, if it's less than 1. But the numbers, the R of x, the net revenue, is increasing every single time, right? So that would fit with that F. But right now we're just guessing. How do we know for sure? Well, let's open up our graphing calculators and let's calculate the A and the B terms. So how we do that is we are going to, before we do anything, we're going to hit second and then 0. We're going to open up the catalog. Since we are going to be using a regression, this time it's exponential regression, we're going to make sure that our diagnostic is on. We also use this when we're doing quadratic regression. We don't need that right now. So our diagnostic is on. So we're going to hit our stat button, right? That's in that third row there. We're going to hit edit. We're going to enter in our numbers here. So these x terms are going to be this list 1. We are simply going up by 3s, so that's pretty easy. It's that list 2, right? That list 2 that we are going to need to make sure that we are doing everything correctly for, because those don't necessarily follow that same pattern. So we're just going to very carefully put these in. These are going to be our dependent variables, this R of x. And once we get this, really we're going to let the calculator do the work for us, which is what calculators are for. All right, so we've got all of our x terms in list 1. We've got all of our R of x or our y terms in list 2. We're going to hit that stat again, but instead of edit, we've already got that. We're going to scroll over one on the tabs, and we're going to scroll all the way down to 0, that exponential regression. So your x's are going to be list 1, your y's are going to be list 2. You've already entered that, so you're good. You simply go down to calculate, and it's going to give you your terms. It's going to say a equals, okay, 223.06. I'm going to round to the hundredths place, and b is that 1.089. I'm going to call it 1.09. And yeah, it's exactly what fits right here. So we were able to kind of eyeball it, but we also use the calculator to double check. So this is our A term, this is our B term, and our answer here is F.